Welcome back to the shop and to the channel. In previous episode we got the machining done for an adapter plate so I can put this 3-jaw chuck onto my rotary table. We'll start by doing a quick stone of the bottom of the 3-jaw chuck. Make sure the adapter plate is good and clean, and now I get to find out if I measured correctly for these holes. So that's some 3/8 inch socket head cap screws. Now I did take probably about 100 thousandths off of the top of the head, so these are kind of shallow, at least the hex is kind of shallow, but I think that they'll go together okay. But I needed to take them off so I didn't have to bore such a deep hole in the plate. I do want to make sure that the top of the rotary table is also good and clean. I can set the locating pin and then drop the adapter plate with the chuck already mounted to it over that and line up the holes with the T-slots. Well, with the T-nuts in the slot, I can use some 5/16 inch socket head cap screws to mount the adapter plate to the rotary table. Now here you can see those holes really could have gone in maybe another 1/4 of an inch at most, but they would have cleared the table clamps. As it is, these new T-nuts, I probably do need to take a little bit more off of the length because they barely get past those table clamps. Well, it's all mounted up, so I'm going to take it over to the mill table and bolt it down, and we'll try it out. Well, just when I thought this project was complete and things were going good, I took a piece of 1/2 inch ground rod and stuck it in the 3-jaw chuck, and that's when I discovered just how bad these chuck jaws are. Well, this is my own fault. When I got this chuck, it was pretty dirty, and I didn't bother checking it over. Well, you can see here with the flashlight on my phone just how much there is a gap between the top of the jaws and the bottom of the jaws. So until I can figure out whether I'm going to replace the chuck or if I'm going to work on grinding these chuck jaws, I guess this project's on hold. Well, I don't have a tool post grinder for the lathe, so I'd either have to find one or borrow one. Let me know in the comments what you would do. But what I think I'm going to do right now is take this up to a local machinery parts reseller and see if there's something he may be able to help me with.
One eternity later.
Well, actually, it was only about a week. I went up and saw Mike at Lee's Machinery in Perry, Ohio. It's about 20 minutes from me. And I came home here with this 6-inch True Set buck chuck. Jaws were in good shape. They do have a little bit of a strange grind on them. They're only about half of the jaw is actually still there. A little strange, but that's okay. This is going to work nicely for the rotary table. Well, that other chuck was mounted to the plate from underneath with 3 socketed cap screws. This chuck is mounted from the front with 6 smaller screws, so I have to re-drill some holes. And before I can get started, I need to remount this plate now to the table on the mill using some 1-2-3 blocks and toe clamps. I'll once again use my coaxial indicator here to find the center of this bore. And once again, I'll use the PCD function on the DRO to set a 6-hole pattern. I have a 120-degree spotting drill in the chuck, and to minimize tool changes, I'm going to go around and spot all 6 holes. Then I'll come back and drill all 6 holes, then chamfer, and then tap. I'm going to power tap these holes. So I've got a split point tap in the chuck, and I'm going to use some anchor lube here as a tapping lubricant. This is popular amongst the YouTube machining community. Interestingly, anchor lube is made right here in Ohio, about half an hour from where I am. Well, with all the holes tapped, I can go ahead and stone the top surface here just to make sure that there's no burrs left over from the tapping process. I'll also stone off the back of the chuck. There was a back plate attached to this before I came into its possession, so there's likely going to be a few burrs. This chuck is still pretty dirty. I haven't spent any time cleaning it up. I'll do that off camera once I'm finally finished with this. I'll mount the chuck now with these 6 socket-head cap screws. I did have to find these cap screws because they couldn't be too long, otherwise they'd come through the back and then I'd have to deal with that. So these go in about halfway into the adapter plate. Well, before I mount this back on the rotary table, I want to go ahead and set this up with the rotary table indicated under the spindle on the mill. I want to make sure that that chuck is mounted directly in the center of the rotary table, at least as much as the 3-jaw chuck can be. So this really is a necessary first step. With the rotary table centered, I can pop in my locating pin and then slide the chuck and adapter plate onto the pin. Well, with the adapter plate now secured to the rotary table, I'm going to back off a little bit on these mounting screws just so they're barely snug. And with the coaxial indicator running, I'll use a rubber hammer here on the chuck to try to relocate it and center it under that coaxial indicator, which should put it in line with the rotary table. Well, I think that's about as good as it's going to get. If I turn the rotary table here, there are areas in which it's pretty close within the thousandths, and others which it's about 5 thousandths off. But I think for this being a 3-jaw chuck, I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think it'll be as good as I'm going to need it to be for the projects that I work on. Well, the next piece of the puzzle here for this project is going to be a chuck key. This buck chuck did not come with a chuck key, so I'm going to make some. I've got this scrap piece of 303 stainless. I think will be more than good enough for this job. Well, apparently it's some kind of tradition, I hear, to face off your work first, so I'll do that first before turning down the diameter of the end of this to a little more than 3/8 of an inch. Rather than leaving that hard shoulder right there, I've got the compound adjusted to some arbitrary angle, and I'll add a taper between the larger and the smaller diameter. Well, I've got that rod of 303 turned around so I can go ahead and face off and clean up the back side of it and put a nice healthy chamfer on the end. I have my spin indexer mounted on the mill table now, and it's just lined up on one of the key slots. I didn't bother running an indicator over it. I've got a 5C collet here that matches the major diameter of my new chuck key. I'll get that secured in the indexer so I can mill the flats on it to square up the end. Well, with all four flats now milled to size, I'll loosen this up, pull it out and reverse it so I can drill a hole for the T-handle. I've got the 120-degree spotting drill back into the chuck. I'll go ahead and move it over probably about a half of an inch or so, arbitrary number, just for the hole for the T-handle. Well, off camera, I machined a T-handle and pressed it into that slot, so I think we can call this project complete. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button, and if you're not a subscriber, smash that subscribe button and that bell icon so you'll be notified when I publish a new video. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.